As Lucifer would watch Lilith walk out on him, he realized something. Charlie reminded him of Lilith. In his older timeline, she left while she was still a baby. As then, Lucifer would start to get depressed, as he couldn't take care of her. She was 1 year old, and Lucifer decided to give her up. Kind of. He would have Rosie raise her, but he would still come to visit every once in a while. The reason he chose Rosie was because if he chose a noble or a royal, they would try to use Charlie to overthrow him. And he didn't want word getting out that he had a daughter, and she was very discreet. As Lucifer would go to Rosie, Rosie would begin to shake and say, "King, what are you?" Lucifer would say, "Enough of that king nonsense. Tell everyone to get out." As she had everyone exit the building, suddenly Charlie would walk forward. As Rosie would look at Lucifer, suddenly Charlie would show up. As Charlie would then look at Lucifer and say, "Where are we, Dada?" As Lucifer would give Charlie up to Rosie, Charlie would say, "Where are you going? I'll visit you every once in a while, but I can't do this. I don't have the right mental state to raise a child. I could barely take care of myself anymore. Be good to her. If something bad happens to her, you're gone," Lucifer would say with a cold tone. As Rosie would sigh, Lucifer would leave, as then Rosie would begin to raise Charlie. As Rosie raised Charlie, Charlie's personality would be different, similar to Alastor's, but a bit nicer. Charlie loved to tease people, and she had a dark sense of humor, but she still had love and compassion for people that she liked and the people around her, like Rosie and her dad. Even though her dad put her off on Rosie, Charlie understood from a young age why. He was unstable, and it was hard to roll off hell, and he still visited her and loved her, and she respected him for that. As one day, Rosie would be having dinner with Charlie, as suddenly Alastor would walk in, and Rosie would say, "Here, dear, I want you to meet a friend of mine." As Alastor would look at them both, Charlie would say, "Is that the radio demon?" Alastor would say, "Guilty as charged." Rosie would then say, "I think it's time you go out. You've been hid here for quite some time, hiding in my town, going to place, learning how to use your powers, but tonight is the night you go out and have a fun time." Charlie would nod, as then Charlie and Alastor would both go out. As Alastor would take Charlie out, Charlie would say, "I've already trained before. You trained your mind and your body, but not your heart. You need to be able to turn your heart into pure black, into pure darkness when you fight. If not, well then, you will spare them." Charlie would say, "Why do I have to know how to fight? You protect Rosie from the exorcist, don't you? Don't you want to protect more?" Charlie would be intrigued by this. She wouldn't have an idea for a hotel, but she would have an idea to actually fight them. Maybe do something like that. But as soon as he did, the treaty would be off and they could go after her. Charlie would say, "I don't know." Alastor would say, "Think about it." As Alastor and Charlie would continue their journey, they would take on bad people and fight them. As Charlie would begin to learn how to let go more, as Charlie would be able to learn how to be more ruthless. As Charlie continued onwards, learning how to be ruthless when she needed, learning how to be cut in when she needed, but she also still had a kind heart. As Charlie learned all these, the radio demons would teach her stuff, but she also taught him some things about how to act, about how to fight, and about how to have pure power and hide it. Both of them were good for teaching each other stuff. However, one day, as Charlie and the radio demon were out terrorizing, as Alastor would look around, he would sense something. As Charlie and him were in an alleyway, they would find Vaggie. As Charlie would bring Vaggie to Rosie, as they would help patch her up, they would ask her questions, but she would simply say that she was a former sinner that was hurt during the exorcism. As Charlie and Rosie began to talk, Rosie would say, "You're not buying that, are you?" Rosie would say as she looked at Charlie. Charlie would say, "What do you mean?" Rosie would say, "Come on. Those eyes, the experience, the power she gives off. She was a former exorcist, I know it." Charlie would say, "Yeah, she lied." Rosie would say, "She was probably scared though." Charlie would say, "I have an idea." As Rosie would go, "Hey, daughter?" Charlie would say, "Yeah, be careful." And then Rosie would hug Charlie. Charlie would smile and hug Rosie back. As Rosie and Charlie hugged, they would continue to look at each other. As Rosie would say, "I've raised you well, smart and eloquent," Charlie would laugh and say, "Thank you." As then Charlie would go off. As Charlie would go off with Vaggie, they would begin to talk. As Charlie would say, "I'll let you stay with us on one condition." Vaggie would say, "Condition? I know you've been lying to me about being an exorcist. I want you to train me to destroy Adam." Vaggie was shocked and said, "You can't do that. You can't. Do you want to stay here or not?" She sighed and said, "Fine." As in, Charlie and Vaggie started to train. As Charlie knew a lot of magic and power, she wanted to learn how to fight like an exorcist, how to use that angelic spear, because she knew from Rosie that that would be the key to destroy a demon. As Charlie would train with Vaggie, Rosie would go off and begin to assemble the army. As they were more involved, she was able to gather them up easier and get them to rally behind their side. Charlie grew up there, and they all knew Charlie personally, and they liked her. As they gathered up this army and all this stuff was building, eventually Lucifer would hear about it as he would start to walk. As he walked there, Rosie would say hello, and Lucifer would say, "What do you think you're doing?" Rosie would say, "What do you mean?" "You're going to get my daughter destroyed. You're fighting Adam. You're fighting the exorcist. Are you crazy?" "We're trying to defend hell. Charlie would die." Lucifer would say, "Now stop this. Stop this at once. I want you to protect my daughter. That's why you abandoned her, left her here on my doormat, just to visit every once in a while," Rosie would say. As Lucifer would then sigh, she was right. He abandoned her. He was a bad father, bad from the beginning. He couldn't believe this. He couldn't believe it. Rosie, an overlord, a person in charge of a literal town where they eat people, is, well, a good parent. Practically a better parent than him. He pawned her off so many years ago, as he would simply stare at the ground, not knowing what to say, speechless. As Rosie kept yelling at Lucifer, Lucifer would then say, "You're right," as he sighed. As then he would walk to Charlie. As Charlie and Vaggie were talking, suddenly Lucifer would put his hand on her shoulder. Charlie would turn around and say, "What do you want, Dad?" "I want to train you. Help you fight Adam." Rosie and Lucifer would all train. As Charlie would say, "Why don't you?" "I have never been in your life, Charlie. You deserve this day of glory. You deserve the victory. And if things get bad enough, I'll interfere. But I don't think it will. I know you can win." Charlie would then smile at Lucifer. As Charlie said, "Thanks, Dad." As she continued to train and as she continued to push herself, Rosie also trained with them. As they both became stronger and stronger, as they prepared their army to fight, as they waited for Adam to come. As then we cut to Adam. Adam didn't know much was happening. As he put on his suit, got his army ready, like every day. As Adam's forces rained down onto hell, and destroyed everything, lighting on fire, lighting ablaze, destroying things with their angelic weapons. People trembled in fear, as there was nothing but destruction, as suddenly an army would appear and attack. Adam was confused by this. He didn't know who had the balls to take him on. It seemed like they were taking down some exorcists, an actual challenge. No matter, he'll deal with this himself. As he flew down and began to play music to blast some of them away, Charlie used extras, basically foot soldiers, cannon fodder, to basically wear down Adam. As Adam was starting to get tired, suddenly Charlie would appear and punch him, sending him flying. Charlie and Adam fought. The entire ground began to shake as Adam would play music and other powerful instruments, basically trying to get Charlie off balance, as Adam's power allowed him to fly and play music that caused shockwaves. As then, Adam would try to punch Charlie, as Charlie would punch him back, as they continued to battle each other more and more and more. Eventually, though, Charlie would get up the upper hand, as then Charlie would slaughter Adam. As then Rosie would say, "I'm proud of you, my daughter," as she came out covered in blood and scars. As Charlie would say, "I love you, Mom," as then they would hug. And that's going to leave things off. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with all your friends. Hope you all enjoyed this video, because I know I did. It was a fun little video to make. Definitely had some good parts in it. Rosie is definitely a great character. I hope I see her more in Season 2. So it's Season 2, I feel like it's going to happen sooner rather than later, if you know what I mean. With all the hints at it, with Vizzy Pop saying her crew is watching it, and like, I think the reason it's going to come out so fast, I mean, it's been a year, but let's be honest, in animation, a year is like nothing. The reason it's going to come out so fast is because, well, I think they already made it. They already made all these episodes, but Madhouse didn't know if animation would work, because Prime Video did Invincible, and that worked well.
but they're still unsure about animation. So they just uploaded, a first season to give us a taste, like a little sample. And now that we're hooked, they're gonna go all in, and that's their plan. And honestly, it's not a bad plan. Same thing Adult Swim did with Rick and Morty. They were unsure about Rick and Morty, but then they just approved for 50 episodes once they found out it was popular. Once they find out it's popular, they go all in, baby, all in, which can be a great thing because you have a lot of new episodes, a lot of new experiences, but it can also be bad because if a show starts getting stale and they're still making money from it, they're going to milk it. They're going to milk that. Milk it. Milk it hard. Milk. So, yeah. Definitely a lot of upsides and good downsides, and I'm sure there'll be some episodes we don't like. Even with series we love, there's episodes we don't like, and I'm sure that there'll be some new episodes that aren't good, and there'll be episodes that are very good. And I feel like as a fandom, we need to come together and we need to enjoy the show, Whether you watch it to put people together, you watch it for weird fan fiction, or you just watch it to have fun. A show is a show. As a fan base, we just need to watch it together and respect what we like. Because as a fan base, that's what we do, and that's how I do it. Maybe you watch it casually, maybe you watch it like all the time, maybe you know the songs word by word, or maybe you just watch clips and don't even watch full episodes. As long as you're a fan, as long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters. Love you all. Thank you so much for being a fan. Peace out.